Claudia. Thank you for joining us today on Over the Fence, our video podcast for Kerr Economic Development Corporation. I'm really excited to be able to talk to you and share what AACOG does in the Alamo region. We'll get into all of those little details, but I wanted to give you first opportunity to introduce yourself and what your role is within AACOG.
Well, thank you, Teresa, for having me today. It's a pleasure to be able to meet people through social media and get some information out, information that you never thought you really wanted to know. And that's one of my roles here at AACOG. I'm the Director of Regional Services here, and I oversee a couple of programs. One is the Resource Recovery Program, or Solid Waste Management. We help our communities in the region do some recycling and get their programs together so that they can send less garbage to the landfill. The other program is Weatherization. Weatherization works with low to moderate income homes to weatherize them, put insulation in between the walls to weatherize the windows and the doors so that their energy costs are lowered and their bills are a lot more manageable. And then in my role as Regional Services Director, I do a lot of the economic development related activities. We put on workshops for our elected officials as well as our economic development professionals in the region. We also do some grant writing and grant administration and identify grants that would be helpful to the communities in our region. And so a little bit of everything, enough to at least get an idea of what our communities need and how we can help them.
And I think it's important to note that when we're talking about the Alamo region and those resources and the opportunities that you're providing, that's a pretty large area. If I recall, it's about 13 counties.
Yes, it's Bexar County and the 12 surrounding counties, and that's about 12,000 square miles.
Yeah.
2 million people that
Yeah.
live in our region.
Yeah.
So we've got our work cut out for us because we don't reach everybody. We try to through the communities and hope that the services that are needed actually get to the people who need them.
And so when you're talking about weatherization and you're talking, I don't know, that one kind of stood out to me right off the bat. And the grants, again, those extend to even our county, Kerr County. And you have partners within those committees. I think, again, there's 14 or 15 committees that are a part of AACOG. And I think it's important to note that you do have representation on those committees from your surrounding counties and the area that you serve. But how does that process work within the committees? Let's just take the weatherization, for example.
Okay.
How does that process work as far as having those efforts and that opportunity for people within, say, our county specifically to tap into that resource?
Okay, yeah. So AACOG, like I said, represents 13 counties. On our board, we have representatives from each of the counties. Typically, it's the county judge or his or her designated alternate, which is usually one of the commissioners. And then we have a couple of city council people from San Antonio, from the surrounding communities, and some educators on the board. And then they designate some of the AACOG committees who are also make up or represent the different areas. And their charge is to make sure that anything that happens from an AACOG program happens within certain guidelines and gets out to the communities. So we're charged as program administrators to go out and do outreach, to give the information out regarding our programs. So like weatherization, we have a staff of about 10, and we have 2 intake specialists who go out and make presentations to different groups, to either the housing authorities in the county seats of those counties, or to neighborhood groups. And we provide the information, what is required on for an application to be completed. If you get through the application phase and are deemed eligible for the program, then an assessment is done of the house, and certain criteria have to be met to have certain things done. Now, some people will say, well, I need a new AC system, or I need a new refrigerator, a new stove. That's one of the reasons for them applying for the program. However, there is a prioritization list based on the assessment. And so these are rules that we're following from the state and federal agencies.
Mm-hmm.
And even though you need the new AC or you need the new stove or the new refrigerator, according to the criteria, you need to get your house insulated. You need to get those windows sealed.
Yeah.
You need to get that door redone. So that it prioritizes that way. In some cases, oh yeah, you do need the new stove, or yeah, you know what, we can get you a new AC. It's just going to depend.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it's not. A lot of times, the resident or the homeowner is disappointed because they didn't get that new AC. It's not a shopping program. It's a program to help you with your bills.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. I mean, I wish we could replace everybody's AC that needed a new AC, but that's just not practical, and that's not part of the program.
Yeah.
But if there's anybody in Kirk County that would like to have the opportunity to at least apply or find out if they're eligible to get their home weatherized, then they just need to contact our weatherization program here at AACOG.
Wonderful. And that's exactly what I was going to talk. That was my next question to you, is how do we give our residents in Kirk County the opportunity to tap into these resources? And so they can go directly to you, to AACOG, to look at those services, those resources, and apply directly there. There's not a process then through people or through the representatives that have been assigned to these different committees where they're kind of filtering that information.
Right. You can go directly to AACOG, the AACOG website, www.aacog.com. Type in weatherization and it'll pull up the phone number for the program. Yeah, just go directly. The committees are great as a sounding board, as a way to propose some new activities or to provide an update on how well the program's doing. But as far as the day-to-day operations, our programs are designed for the community to come directly to the agency and avail themselves of the programs.
That's wonderful. And so I kind of wanted to talk, you kind of hit on that opportunity for economic development and who your core board is. What are the resources for those that are going to be watching in the economic development industry or within these counties that are working to develop their community? What are those resources for them, and how do they get maybe more involved with AACOG if they haven't tapped into you as a resource?
Well, one of the things that is available through AACOG, as well as outside of AACOG, are grant opportunities that the different state and federal agencies provide. So you have, like an EDC, that probably gets money from a portion of the sales tax that's assessed in the community. An economic development group, a city, an EDC can apply for a grant from one of the agencies, either Texas Department of Agriculture or the Economic Development Administration, which is federal, to maybe set up a loan program, or to set up some type of an economic development program or activity. What I don't like to recommend all the time is that a community do a plan, a strategy, because we have that mentality that, oh, we're just going to create paper and put it on the bookshelf and nobody will read it again. Whenever a community does a strategy or an action plan or an economic development plan, it does a couple of things for them if they implement it. One, it shows a business that's interested in your area that this community is thinking about the future. They have plans. If you don't have it, then they're like, well, I wonder what they're planning. I wonder if we're the type of business that they want. With a plan, it kind of sets it out for you. The other thing that it does is it brings together the community, provides them the contacts at the region or state level, the region being AACOG and the state being whichever funding entity, to help the community develop. If you know that every time it rains, road ABC floods, then you probably need to look at some infrastructure money. So there are a couple of outlets for that. The Texas Department of Agriculture has the Texas CDBG program. That's federal money that's given to the state, or not given, well, it's provided to the state to award out to different counties or cities to do projects. So in the Alamo region, we prioritize the projects. We say that water and sewer projects are a priority in our region. I think just about every community has a water or sewer issue. And
Right.
so that's, that gets, 50 points. The next one would be road improvements, and that might be 45 points. That's our second priority. Everything else, an economic development plan, a business development program, a business incubation program, that's eligible as well, but maybe they wouldn't get as many points. So a lot of the communities in our region do apply for water and sewer grants for water and sewer improvements, and some do the roads. And so you have to, as a community, think about what your priorities are. Are your priorities to get in and out of your community during inclement weather? Is it to have better broadband capability? We have to notify people when there's a flash flood and if people need to evacuate. How do we get the information out? A lot of times the electricity goes out. So what are your resources? I know that I used to work in Castroville in Medina County,
Mm-hmm.
and when the power went out after a big rainstorm, how are we contacting the people? Don't go to this road, or don't go near the Medina River because it's flooding. Ham operators. We have a large group of ham operators in Medina County, in the Castroville area. So these guys got on their ham radios and helped get the word out.
That
So
is
it's
fantastic.
it's like it's all about communication. It's like this community knew what it wanted to do. They knew how they wanted to, if this happened, we know that we can rely on the ham operators to help us out. And, that's one of the things that communities can do. And you'd be surprised if, having a meeting or, getting to know your neighbor, even if it's at a social, it's what's their interest, what do they do? Oh, well, I'm in the local ham operating club. In high school, we would have laughed at those kids. But let me tell you, when you're in a bad weather situation in a community that's having some flooding or tornado issues, thank goodness we have those ham operators.
Yeah.
So these are things that, we like to explore with communities. We like to know, each community is different. Each community has different needs. I don't like to use the word unique because it's not, a lot of the problems aren't unique. What's unique really is how you solve them or how you work with them, how you deal with them. So I think ham operators are unique. So I like using the word for them because in a situation where we needed to communicate, we had the ham operators. So looking at the communities, finding out what their needs are, doing a SWOT analysis. What are your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, your, always forget T.
Threats.
Threats. Yeah. What are your threats, threats to your community? That's how we assess how we can best help a community. And I think that's how a community can assess how they can help themselves.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I was really, really happy about, that our community went through that comprehensive planning and has really strategized and looked at the priorities. And you're right, in our community, the one of the two of the top priorities were those infrastructure needs. So the roads, the flooding aspects, and of course our water, and how do we preserve our water, and how do we develop a plan to look into the future for water, so that we're not in a desperate situation when we come into drought situations. And so you're right, not only is that a priority for you, but it's definitely a priority within specifically our Kerr County and in our community. And they're addressing, our leadership is incredible, and they're addressing those issues right now. I mean, we have a lot of roads that are being repaved and redone. So again, going right back to what you said in strategic planning and comprehensive planning, looking at your community and really figuring out what is the best and priority to fix those issues. But I love, because I love the out of the box thinking. I love the challenges that we face in this year, particularly because so many businesses and communities have really looked at themselves and said, how are we going to work towards solving the issues that we have right now and really move forward within that? And so that out of the box thinking for ham radios, you think in our technology age, but when you don't have that access to that, falling back on your community and your neighbors to get that information out is just awesome. So I love that story.
Well, communication is really important. However you get it out, if your community knows what you're doing, how you're doing it, they get progress reports. I think they're more inclined to support when a new referendum or an issue or an ordinance or a resolution comes up. They're like, you know what? I remember how we've been kept informed. It's been transparent.
Yep.
We know where our money's going, or we know where our tax dollar is being spent. I think you gain that support, plus you gain trust, so that when you do come up with a really innovative idea or an incentive to offer a business to locate, I think you've got a little bit more buy-in from your community. And so, we like to take care of our own first. And quite frankly, a business isn't going to come to a community if the roads have a lot of potholes in them, if there's not a decent water supply, and if every time it rains it floods, and they're just not, that's not a community they're going to want to go to. But if the community has a plan to take care of those issues, fill those potholes, repave those roads, redo the water system, or put in new piping, or big old tube, then a community is going to say, then a business is going to say, that's a community I want to invest in. And when they come, they really do invest because they're paying taxes, they're buying locally, so that our small and local businesses do benefit from a larger business coming in. And I think that's key. People don't who wants to have their taxes raised? Nobody. But when a business comes in and shares the burden,
yes,
then your taxes probably won't get raised for a while.
Yes.
And so I think people need to see the big picture. It's not, as a city giving a tax abatement, doing job training money, or foregoing some type of tax to get a road or a system repaired isn't a giveaway. It's an investment. It's an investment, and just like somebody who takes out a loan, you're paying on it over a certain period of time until you've paid it off. And that's how we have to look at how we maintain our businesses in our communities. Because I'll tell you, every time I go visit one of the communities in our region, I spend money. And it's not just to eat or pick up a Coke on the way home to drink, or a bottle of water. I should be drinking more water, a bottle of water. I like to shop at the little boutiques. Somebody in my life has a birthday or an anniversary coming up, and I buy local. I know a lot of people who do that. Yeah. Saturdays with my best friends, celebrating a birthday or just getting away from the husbands, we'll go and let's go antiquing in New Braunfels. Let's go to the little mercantile shop in Hondo. Yeah. We buy local, and I think that's part of the charm of the Alamo region, because wherever you go, somebody's got a well-known bakery, a well-known boutique, a well-known mercantile store, and you want that outside dollar, because that outside dollar adds to what was already circulating in your economy. And so we have to promote ourselves, and to do that, we have to plan how we're going to improve our communities.
You've hit on absolutely every key point of economic development, and I couldn't, honestly, I don't think I've ever said it better. I think I need to work on that, because the way you just explained it is absolutely the point, as far as every economic development organization, of what we try to help our communities understand. I think sometimes they're looking at these big businesses or the incentives that are provided to businesses coming in, and they say, well, we don't have the opportunity to have access to that. But I think it is helping the general public understand and know that, you are going to benefit. So there's indirect impact for that business coming in.
Definitely.
And you've just given a perfect example of that. And so I love it when people are coming into our community and they're visiting and they are spending those dollars. We've seen that that's a huge part of our sales tax income is from outside of our county. So perfect examples. And when you're talking about unique portions of a community, you are talking about individuals, you're talking about individual businesses what they've done to not only market themselves, but also market the community, and how those businesses contribute to the overall feel of our community. And again, it's because we want people like you coming from outside of our area to look at our boutiques and to understand what Kerrville and Kerr County is about, and be able to access boutiques and again, all those little kind of homegrown businesses that we're known for. So I like I said, I don't think I could have said it any better. And obviously that's part of your work and what you do. And so again, we really appreciate having you as a resource. You're always doing things that are innovative within AACOG itself. I attended several webinars during this entire time talking about anything from EDA grants to opportunity zones. And I mean, there was a wide variety that you guys provided. So I think for the general public, it would be really beneficial for you to kind of talk about those opportunities where in the past we've been able to go to AACOG, to your actual physical building, and participate in kind of workshops and seminars to grow ourselves professionally. But maybe talk about how you pivoted during this time to be able to continue to provide that support to us.
Oh, definitely, definitely. So yeah, so COVID-19 really changed the world for all of us, how we do business, how we provide services, how we communicate with one another. I mean, look at us right now.
Yeah.
It's safer for both you and me to do this, podcast this way. And so what AACOG did was really stepped up how we provide information to our residents in our region through the internet. Now, before COVID, we were already live streaming some of our training sessions, some of our workshops. And so we would tell people in attendance in our building, because we could only accommodate about 100 people in the boardroom, we would say, okay, this is being recorded, so speak into the mic when you ask a question. If you missed something, well, you can watch it on the live stream, because the recording will be on the AACOG website for some days or whatever. So we had already done that. So with COVID, we just stepped it up and said, okay, we can't have this workshop in person. We're just going to have to do it over GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar.
Yeah.
And so that was the other thing. We learned about Zoom, WebEx, GoToMeeting. So AACOG uses GoToMeeting and GoToWebinar. The difference being is how many people meeting reaches versus webinar. Webinar 500 or more, I think, is what they do. So we always do a workshop on economic development. And so this time around, we decided to do a series. Every week on Thursdays at 3, we brought in one of our state or federal partners to talk about their programs and their services. And so for about 30 to 45 minutes, they talk about their program. And then for 15 minutes, we did a question and answer. And on average, each of the presentations was about 30 minutes. So we were done by 3:45. So that was on live. It was being recorded. And within 3 business days, we posted an edited version without all the technical difficulties that I was having, trying to figure out who's next.
Yeah.
We provided it on our website. So now it lives on our website.
Yeah.
And along with the PowerPoint presentation. One of the things that we'll probably end up doing via GoToWebinar is our newly elected officials training. This is a training we used to offer every spring right after the May elections.
Yeah.
And so with everything being pushed to November, I think we're going to have it the first week in December. So that'll be another thing that's put on the internet, and we'll post it and it'll live on the AACOG website. So in addition to having meetings and workshops, that's how we're doing things. A lot of our other programs are doing the same thing too. We have an aging or an elderly citizens program where we provide services. So their advisory board meets like this. Any events that they've been able to have in person, they've had it exercising. the protocols regarding wearing a mask, washing your hands, having hand sanitizer, etc., 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
They've been doing that in person. And so AACOG is, like I said, we were doing something very similar before. We really didn't change anything, but now instead of being the host and actually shaking hands with people, having little discussions during the breaks, we just haven't done that. So we really haven't socialized, but we're still getting the information out. We're still answering the questions. And one of the things that we encourage people to do is to go to our website, www.acog.com, look to see if if there's a webinar or a workshop recording that you'd like to watch. If you have any questions, of course, please submit the questions. There's the contact us icon on the different pages. Just send us questions and we'll try to answer them. We're still in contact with our speakers because we got to recruit them for Economic Development Week next May, and then for our workshop. Yay!
Yeah.
So, in fact, we're thinking of doing the same thing, maybe a lunch and learn type of situation. But we're still in contact with our speakers, and we can get the answers that you need. If we don't know the answer, we will find out for you. One of the things that we all, besides working with our local governments to make sure that we're improving the lives of our residents, in addition to those programs and services, we also have programs and services for people with special needs, like the intellectually disabled and also the elderly. Plus our veterans. That's a very important population because they fall into the elderly situation. They also fall into the population whose homes need to be weatherized or repaired.
Yep.
And so we provide services. We also have transportation services. VIA in San Antonio and Bexar County only goes to a certain point.
Yeah.
Outside in the 12 surrounding counties, there isn't a public transit system. And so we've worked with businesses to help get their workers to work. We've worked with some of the communities and school districts to get some students to school. And we've worked with some of the training centers in our region to get people from around the region to the training centers to train for new jobs. So that's something that we can work with any community on to provide that service. We have a fleet of buses that will go out. The guys leave. Typically, most of our drivers live within those communities or in those counties and have a bus and can start their route from there. Some have to start their route from San Antonio and drive out. So a lot of the people who take advantage of those services are people who have doctor's appointments, or dialysis treatments, and they've got to come into San Antonio to the medical center to do that, or they've got to go 2 counties over. Yeah. To get that service. So that's the other thing, is the cooperation we have with the different governments, the different communities, to be able to provide that service, because you live in Kerr County, you know what your needs are. And so you tell us, hey, I need a bus service out here because I need people transported from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. every day from this point to this point. We work with you to set that up if it isn't already set up.
Oh, it is. So we see your little, I see the buses and, the shuttle service within our community, but I don't think, again, this is part of why I wanted to have that conversation with you, because I don't think that the majority of our population understands how that service is being provided, or actually where it is coming from, and really what AACOG stands for and all of the resources that are available. So, and again, before I became involved as an economic development professional, I was not aware of everything that you do, and even sitting in meetings and going through those webinar series and seminars. Again, prior to this, I went on the website. I've been on it before, but I didn't dive into it to the depth that I did this time. And just looking at the breadth of what you guys do as an organization is just absolutely incredible.
Well, we're here to help you guys, and anything we can to help, we'll do our best. And if we can't, we'll find somebody who can. It's all about partnerships. I've stressed the communication point, but also partnerships. Yeah. We want to work with you to make it easier for you to do business. We have resources or access to resources that we can use to develop something in your communities. So I don't want anybody out there to think, well, it's not for me, it's for San Antonio, it's for Bexar County.
Right.
It's for the whole region.
Yeah.
And you know, like I said, you know best what you need, and we want to help you meet any goals or meet the needs of the community. And if AACOG can do it, we certainly want to give it our best shot and get it done for you.
Well, you know, anytime I've had a question or I've reached out to anybody on staff at AACOG, I've just gotten incredible responses. I know and understand the support and the value of your organization, and so it's really been an honor to be able to share that in this format and for other formats going forward, as far as definitely that partnership and how it works so well together. And what that is doing to benefit our individual communities. And again, you know, I look at that county region and how large it is, and everything that you guys are doing. And you said an office staff of 10?
Oh, with weatherization, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a lot of contractors. Oh, so, well, I've got you. We are always looking for contractors to do weatherization work for us. And
Wonderful.
so we enter into a contract with them, and they go out and they make the repairs or they do the weatherization of the homes. It makes sense to use a contractor who is from that area. Again, it adds to your economy.
Yes.
And they save money by just traveling within that area instead of going south, going east, going west to another county. If you had a contractor that could do some weatherization work in your area, I want to know. I want to know, because that it adds to our list of contractors, the availability, and of course, we would like for them to get the work in your community.
Love that. So yeah, we'll definitely provide you some additional opportunities and make those contacts within our community. I know, going back to that whole indirect impact of opportunities, you know, that's just another one on how we can stimulate the business within our communities, that particular sector. So kind of in wrapping up, what I would like to talk about is some of the recognition opportunities that you guys offer for the surrounding counties. So if that's something that popped up on my social media feed from AACOG that I wasn't aware of. And I thought, wow, this is just an incredible opportunity. You know, we've worked with SBA to award a Champion of the Year business within Kerrville that went to Pint and Plow. Jeremy Walther, you know, he was the business champion of the year for our county for Kerrville through SBA. But you guys do an award system or an awards program as well.
Yes. So each year we have, well, you know, our board meets monthly. And in the month of December is when we do the awards for the region. And so we'll do like an advocate, a business advocate. We'll do a project. We'll do just a number. There's, I don't know, like 5 or 6 awards. And more than, I think more than one person could win each award. And we just take a look at what's happened this past year. And we added an element this year regarding COVID. And so, you know, we've had a couple of projects within our region that addressed that need that they had in their community. As I think I mentioned earlier, a lot of times in our communities, the city manager is also your economic development person, is also your city attorney, is also the city secretary. And so they wear many hats. And a lot of times they are not able to go out and look for somebody to nominate.
Right.
And a lot of times it's that person. It's the guy wearing the 5 hats.
Yeah.
Or it's, you know, it's the guy he has coffee with every morning because that guy's done something incredible in your community to help you out with, you know, responding to and preventing a pandemic like COVID for the next time. So those are things that we take a look at. And our deadline was this past Friday.
Yeah.
And so, but for next year, if you know you've got something going, economic development related, region related, where you were able to address a problem or come up with this great project to get some grant money, and you know you were able to get a grant, and that project has tremendously helped out your community or a certain population with your community, then we want to hear about it. We want to hear about it. So I would save all those ideas or projects and put them in a box and save them for this time next year to nominate.
Yes. Yeah.
Because something's always happening, and it's when you take a step back and said, well, that's a pretty good project, and that person really gave of themselves, or
Yes.
this community really gave of themselves. We need to nominate. And there is no shame in nominating yourself, because a lot of times if you don't do it, nobody else will. Nobody else will. And if you're thinking about it, you should do it.
Yeah. And I love that. So I think sometimes, we're our own worst advocates as far as what we're doing to help within the community. And I think that really describes a lot of our leadership anyway, humble leaders that are not necessarily going to step up themselves to nominate them or give themselves kudos for a project that's helped the community. So I would just really encourage anybody within the Alamo region to, like you said, step back, look at what's happening within your community, and work to submit those people for recognition.
Yes.
They may not do it themselves, and it really is important to help get the word out about what is happening within your region and the efforts there. And I appreciate that you've given us a platform to be able to do that. So, again, and I think it broader markets your area and helping the rest of the Alamo area see what's happening within your community. And a lot of these programs are programs that can be replicated, right? I have no shame of taking somebody's idea and making it our own to fit our community. And so I think, again, that's another aspect of these awards that's really important to talk about as far as, how they can be replicated within our other areas and help other communities. So thanks again for giving us that opportunity within our area. Thank you for your organization and the staff. You guys are just absolutely incredible as a resource and a communication and partnership tool for us. So it's just been a real pleasure having the opportunity to talk to you. I'm glad that you accepted my invitation to be on. I always enjoy talking about economic development, and you just did an incredible job of summing it up for what it means for the community. So thank you very much, Claudia. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. And I'll just leave you with, wear your mask, wash your hands, and don't touch your face.
Yeah. The touch your face is the worst part for me. And every time I think about doing it, I'm like, I better put a hand sanitizer on and then scratch my.
And then, yeah, exactly.
And then,
dry skin. But I'm safe and I'm healthy, and that's important.
Yes, I couldn't agree more with that. So Claudia, thanks again. I look forward to many more opportunities to be able to visit with you one day in person. I think we actually have scheduled that in November. So being able to come and visit the community, like you said, is an important aspect of what you guys do. And so I'm honored that we'll have that opportunity to show you around Kerrville.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. And again, www.acog.com. If you have any questions, contact us.
Thanks, Claudia. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.